guys, welcome back to another Gimpys Gal Guesses. It has been a very hot minute, very long minute. Really quick, just before we get into this, because I want to have fun and I want to show this game to you guys. And so before I do that, I just really quickly wanted to say it's been a while since I've been on. There's just been a lot going on. I have 4 kids. I homeschool, I take care of Gimpy. There's been a lot going on. We mentioned to you guys a few months back that we were having some issues with the VA and things, and so we've been dealing with that. And then on top of all of that, we have an out-of-town family event to go to that's coming up. But last week, our first dog, the first pet we bought together, unfortunately passed away. And I just wanted to mention that because she was a very huge part of our lives. She was our first child. At one point, Gimpy and I were told we could not have children, so they were our babies. They were very special to us. She lived a very long life. She died peacefully at home next to her brother, Rocco, who's our other dog. And thankfully, because she was so old and the kids just didn't interact with her because she hid a lot of times. She was very, very small. She was a small, tiny little dog, and she was almost blind there at the end. So she hid a lot. So thankfully they weren't devastated is my point. They kind of noticed, but they weren't too affected, which I'm very thankful for because I have just been a wreck. And Gimpy's been holding it together because he's my rock and that's what he does. But I've definitely been a mess. So I just didn't feel like I could go on with this without at least mentioning and acknowledging her because it's been rough. It's been a lot rougher than I thought it would be. I fully expected, I would be upset. Obviously, I knew it was coming. She was, 14 years old. Like we knew this day would come eventually. But we kind of thought we'd have a little more warning, and it was a little bit out of nowhere. So we're dealing with that. So bear with us, bear with me. If I'm not my usual bubbly self, I'm going to do my best because, I want to do a good job, but also I just, like I said, I just feel like I wanted to mention that. So now that I've got the sad thing out of the way, I'm going to dedicate this to her and I'm going to give it my best for her. So welcome back. If you're new, sorry for that long, boring, sad intro. That's not normal for this channel, but my name is Gimpys Gal and I am Gimpy's wife. And I do this little segment on here occasionally called Gimpys Gal Guesses. If you're new, this is who I'm talking to. I unbox a new game, basically. And essentially, I'm supposed to guess how you play the game without reading like the rule book. I kind of look at what's in the box, present all of that to you, and then give you my guess as to how the game is played. If you want to check that out and see if you like it and maybe stick around, then watch this. And if you like what you see at the end, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and definitely subscribe because that helps Gimpy out a ton. And I think that's all of like the spiel. If you've been here before, welcome back. Glad to have you back. Please make sure you're liking and subscribing. I think it's crazy that like so many people who watch channels on the regular are not subscribed to them, and it's free to do that. So I know it's annoying to hear it, but I know how much it helps him out, and he puts so much heart and soul into this. So if you wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button. We would really, really, really appreciate it. And do it for our dog, Molly. That would be wonderful. But anyways, let's jump into this. This is called Nato, The Cold War Goes Hot. It says Designer Signature Edition. This is a Compass Games game. A Bruce Maxwell design, and it hasn't even been like unshrink wrapped yet, so like you're getting the real scoop. He hasn't even looked inside of it yet. I can't remember. There's a couple of games that he wants me to do guesses on, and one of them there's like a story behind it. I don't know if that's this one or the other one. I'll let him tell you, but let's just jump into it. So here's the front of the box. And then the back looks like this. So we have Hunfeld 1145. If I still had the tanks to do that, sir, I wouldn't be whispering in a cellar. That's at the top of the box. And then we have some examples of gameplay down at the bottom. Now, I've done a lot of these, so if you're new, I've never played a war game in my life. I think the closest I've gotten to is like a card game. I forget what it's called. But these types of games I've never played a day in my life, so I don't know anything about them. I go into these completely blind. I do know most boxes have like the components and the complexity and solitaire. I know some things just based on my being around it because my husband does it all the time. So that's about the extent of my knowledge. So bear with me. But the complexity on this one is a medium. Time scale, 1 turn equals 24 hours. And for those of you that are new, I'll share a really quick funny story. Those of you that have been around, you probably don't want to hear it again, but I'm going to share it anyway because it's funny. And it's laughing at myself, and we all need to laugh at ourselves sometimes. So, back when I first started guessing on this channel for my husband, he kind of just gave me a game and was like, guess this. We saw a really cool video from another reviewer, and their wives did a guess where they like tried to figure out how to play a game. It was a really cool idea, so we kind of just took it and did our own twist on it. We gave them credit, but we kind of did our own twist on it, and we made it a regular thing. Theirs was just like a one-off thing, but we made it like a regular thing. And back when I first started, I literally had like zero idea of anything I was talking about, anything I was looking at. I didn't know anything about anything, and I still don't know much about anything, but I know some more than I did then. But then there was a game, and I don't remember the name of the game, but I unboxed it, or I did the guesses on it, and it said the time scale, and it said like 1 turn equals 2 years or something. So in my dumb, naive, ignorant self, I thought that meant 1 turn would take you 2 years to complete. And I believed that because we had been to the WBC, I had seen games that were humongous. I mean, he just showed me a video of someone that had like an entire room where the walls were lined with a map, and that was a game set up, and it was like magnetic, so you could play it on the walls. It was really cool, but it was massive. So I have seen games that are bigger than our dining room. So if you tell me a game could take 2 years to play a turn, I believe you, because these games already look insanely difficult and hard to master to me. So that's believable to me. But obviously I now know that just meant what the time was in the game. Like 1 turn is equal to 2 years in the game. Not that it takes you 2 years to play a turn. So we've learned. See, we're growing, we're learning, we're evolving. All right, map scale is 15 miles per hex. Then we have unit scale, brigades and divisions, abstract air and naval units. Number of players, 2 to 4 players, and it says best with 2. It does say that there is a suitability for solitaire play, and that is at a medium. Average time to play 3 to 8 hours based on the scenario, and then recommended for ages 14 and up. The components, we have 2 22 by 34 inch maps, 4 counter sheets, 8 player aid cards, 3 reinforcement cards, 1 rules booklet, 1 play booklet, and 2 6-sided dice. So that's all you need to know on the outside. You know what comes in it, and you know kind of the rundown on the complexity, the suitability, number of players, and all the stuff you need to know, the basics. So that is the box. Now we're gonna open it up. We give it a little shimmy, shimmy, shake. And we pop it on open. Here we have our 2 dice right here on the top. Just 6-sided, 1 black, 1 white. Nothing crazy fancy, but dice, like we don't have a million of these laying around, but we need 2 more. This looks like stickers. I'm assuming this is probably something that maybe they changed in the game. I know sometimes when games are published, maybe there's a mistake that gets missed when they're publishing it, and then someone points it out. So sometimes they've already like produced the game, but they haven't mailed it out. So rather than go back and like destroy all of them and have to reprint because of one little minor mistake, they'll add a little something like this, 2 stickers, and it says map corrections on here. So that's exactly what this is. So the map corrections, it's right on top there. So I'm just gonna put that to the side, and then I'm gonna flip the box so we can see what's inside of it. All right. I do think that's really cool. It's really efficient. Publishing games, creating games, all that. When we went to the WBC back in 2018, we got to play a game with a developer. I think that's what they're called, like the person who like created the game, and to see how much time and effort and energy and how long it takes these people to create these games, and then the publishers who are making them and printing them and shipping them out. that's so much work. So to get to that point where you're ready to like ship them out to customers and then you find like a little tiny mistake on there has got to be frustrating. So I think it's really cool that we have things like this where it's like, yes, there's a mistake, but it's a quick fix and you just pop a sticker on it and you're good to go. So I love that that was right on top there. And we have, these are the counters. I'm gonna keep them here because they were feeling a little loosey-goosey. We'll just flip this over. So we have the playbook. Then we have the maps. I like to keep my components close by so I can remember what exactly we're looking at. We had 2 maps, 4 counter sheets. This looks like a rules booklet because it says so on here. And then we had, what did it say, 8-player aid cards. So let's see how many of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 11 of these. So there's 8-player aid cards, 3 reinforcement cards. So that's what 3 of those are. So there's 8-player aid and then 3 reinforcement cards. So I'm assuming, let's see which ones are the reinforcements. Here we go. Reinforcement. I don't know. We'll look at it all in a second. Now this right here says errata. I'm assuming that might be corrections. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what that means. So this says page 1 of 2. It's front and back. So I think that that's what this is. These are corrections to rulebook, playbook, and reinforcement schedule cards, map, game components. So yeah, this is just corrections of different things in the game that I guess were printed with mistakes in them. So again, I like that that's in there because it makes it easy for you to fix if there's any mistakes. And let's face it, we're all human, people make mistakes. I like that. All right, I like to do the counters last and then the player aid. So we'll just start with these books and move on down the line. So we have a rules booklet and a playbook. So here is the playbook. Let's set this to the side here. So we have a 55-page playbook. Design notes, variable rules. Let's see what the table of contents says. So we have ball top scenario. So these look like the scenarios. So this is the scenario booklet or the playbook. So all the different scenarios are listed here. There's the bibliography, order of battle, and then historical unit information and design notes in here as well as the scenarios. So I'll just quick flip through it. But yeah, so this is when it said it's 2 to 8 hours depending on the scenario. That's what this gives you, all the different scenarios. So that is the playbook. And then we have the rules booklet, which is exactly that. This is the rules booklet. Now these feel like pretty heavy duty magazines, 87 pages long here. It is full color. Yeah, so this has introduction, game components, units, markers, basic course of play, glossary of common game terms. I like it when a rule book or a game has like a common game terms that you'll see in the game. I like that it breaks it down because not everyone is going to know what all of those abbreviations or terms mean. So I really like that they included that in there for me specifically. Just kidding. But I do like it when they have that. Then we have sequence of play, zones of control, stacking, supply, airspace, ground movement, rail movement, ferry movement, lift commands, transport movement, interception, helicopter movement, flak, strikes, nuclear warfare, chemical warfare, air power, Warsaw Pact artillery divisions, ground combat. I'm just doing this because if I keep reading it in the monotone, it's going to put you to sleep. Coordination, assaults, reserve phase, headquarters units, cities, West Berlin, national surrender, reinforcements, victory, and general scenario rules. Yeah, so that's what's in here. I'm not going to look at it anymore because rule booklets and words and all that, boring. That's why I just would, like, if honestly someone said you need to go play this game, I would put those to the side and do what I'm about to do right now. Look at it and then just like, okay, let's play it like this. But that's not what these people want. They put so much time and energy into these. So never take what I'm saying anything serious because I'm totally very lighthearted and joking. But I do appreciate how intense these games can be and how much work people put into filming them, creating them, publishing them, all the above. So my respect is still there. I'm just being funny. All right, so there's 2 maps. So we'll take a look at those really quick. And so they're 22 by 34 inches. Looks like it is just one-sided. Now this is the material of the one I ripped before. Not good. We don't want to have a repeat of that, which I just very tiny did not rip. But here's this. Goes this way. I don't know if they go together. Let's just take a quick peek and see if they're supposed to go together because it looks like it's an incomplete map. I'm just trying to see if they fit. I think they do. They do fit together. They do fit together, I believe. Because they match up pretty spot on. So I think that, I don't know. It's hard to say. They look, if you look, I don't know if this is in frame, but it does look like they, yeah, I think they can. Yeah. So you can kind of match them up where they fit almost perfectly together to make one giant map. So I'm assuming maybe some of the scenarios you do use both and maybe some you use one or the other, but it looks like they do go together or they can go together. So I'll show you, here's the first one here, or this, I think this is the second one actually, but it doesn't say, I'm trying to look for like, it does have, I like it when it has like the terrain on it, that's really helpful. And then it has like a game turn track, a phase track, a Warsaw Pack tension level track, reinforcement boxes. I don't see like an identifier, like this is map blah blah blah. You know what I mean? So I don't see that, but I might be just overlooking it. That's very possible. But there was map, one of the maps, and then here's the other map. Now this is like the main one because it says NATO, the Cold War goes hot, Compass Games. It has a combat results table, NATO deep interdiction table, counterattack table, strike table, NATO interception table, nuclear strike table, combat results table, Warsaw Pact interception table, Warsaw Pact airfield chemical strike table. There's just so many words. I'm gonna start reading them and then I'm just like blah, 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 because it's just so many things. But again, mad respect for putting these games together and playing them and filming them because it's a lot and it's very, it's cool. It is cool. It's just a little above my pay grade. All right, on to the player aid and reinforcement cards. So we got to figure out which is which. So okay, so here's a reinforcement, player aid, player aid, player aid, player aid, reinforcement, reinforcement. So those must be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here's the 8 player aid cards, and these are the 3 reinforcement cards. So these just have NATO Strategic Surprise Reinforcement Schedule. This one says 1988. This one says 1983, and this one says 1988, but this is the Warsaw Pact. And then on the back, 1983. NATO Strategic Surprise Reinforcement, so it is different on each side. There's one side of this one, and then the other side if you want to pause it so you can get a better look. These are the reinforcement cards. And then NATO Ball Tap Reinforcement Schedule 1983, that's one side. And then the other side is NATO Strategic Surprise Reinforcement Schedule for 1988. And there's that side. Sorry if you can hear clicking, Rocco's walking around and he's been a little mopey, so we're kind of giving him a little extra love and attention. All right, NATO, Warsaw Pact Strategic Surprise Reinforcement Schedule, 1983. There's one side, and then the back is Warsaw Pact Strategic Surprise Reinforcement Schedule, 1988. There we go. And then the player aids. So we have these 6, which are, they look all the same. So that one looks like the same as this one. These two look identical. Yeah. So I think they have like 2 of each one of these so that each player, or you can, you know, share them. So this is the airspace chart, the Warsaw Pact interception table, the NATO interception table, the nuclear strike table, the air campaign tables, and strategic surprise scenario, war of Nerve scenario, extended build-up scenario. So yeah, these are just player aid, but these are the same. So there's the front, or one side, and then here's the other side. I don't know if there's a front or a back because they're different, but that's 2 of them. Then we have 2 that look like this, which say NATO Zone of Control Effects Chart, and you have function, effects on of enemy ZOC, which I guess you would learn about in that terms of the game glossary in the rule booklet. We have a unit movement summary chart, and then again function, and that's on this side. And then if we flip it, we have NATO Warsaw Pact War Preparations Chart. Then we have the Warsaw Pact Airfield Chemical Strike Table. I said that's a word. Airfield Chemical Strike Table. Airspace Effects Chart, Supply Chart, and Chemical Strike Table. And that is that side. Again, there's 2 of each of these. And then we have the Combat Results Table on this side, and the Counterattack Table. And then we have the Unit Summary Chart, the NATO Deep Interdiction Table, and the NATO Alert Level Chart on the back, or the flip side of that one. Okay, coffee. And then we have 2 of these. Are these the same? Colors look a little different, but they look pretty much the same. So the front is the same, it looks like. So you have terrain effects chart, and it says like terrain effects. So this is like the terrain, and then you have the defense effects, attack effects, and then after combat effects. And like at the bottom, it's A through F, and it just has different other things that can affect the terrain in the game. But these look exactly the same. And then the flip looks the same, just different colors. So we have joint player turn. And I guess this is like the sequence of play. We have A, which is the joint status phase, B, which is the joint reinforcement phase, and then it says 2 NATO player turn. That's what this one says. This one says NATO player turn. This one says WP player turn. So they are a little different, but then you have supply phase, movement phase, recovery phase. This one has a battle planning phase, and then on to the offensive strike phase. This one just goes straight from recovery into the offensive strike phase. And then you have combat phase, then then reserve phase, and unsuppression phase. So a couple of differences. Guess it depends on which side you're playing as, but those are the last 2 player aid cards. And then we move on to the counters. Now these feel very loosey-goosey, like they're gonna pop right on out. So if they do, we've been warned, because they feel like they wanna just pop right out. I usually like to keep them intact, but don't know if that's going to be able to happen. So let's just look at this little one because it's about ready to pop out as I'm looking at it and breathing on it. All right, so it says NATO fronts, bunch of numbers and symbols and things that you see in war games that I don't know the meaning of, half of them. But then the back, some of them are blank and some of them have like numbers and stuff on them. But yeah, here's one little tiny sheet of counters. Then we have this one, which looks like flags and different symbols to represent the different countries. It says sheet 4 front. I'm not even going to read through all of them because there's just a bunch of different ones. I'll just let you look. take a screenshot, pause the video and take a screenshot if you want a better look. Now Gimpy goes over this all in way more detail when he actually plays the game. I'm just giving you like a general overview of it, so I'm not gonna go into too much detail or it could get super long-winded, but this is, I have them upside down, sheet 3 front, sheet 3 back, sheet 2 front, and back. Although it really should be like top and bottom because it looks like some of these might be face down since they're blank on the back. And then sheet 1 front, there were 4 counter sheets. So it's like 4 in a piece because there is actually that little piece of them. And then this is sheet 1 back. So I think that's everything. I'm gonna pop these back into the little, see, look, they all came flying out. I literally barely touched it and they just came popping right on out. Okay, let's see if we can do this. Sometimes I can stick them back in, so we'll see. Oh, look at that. I was able to get them back in. Sometimes they can, they can go back in, and I would prefer to keep them all in one piece because I think it makes it easier. It's probably more satisfying. I feel like popping out the counters can be satisfying, so I wouldn't want to take that away from Gimpy. There was one game where I helped him clip the counters because when you pop them out, sometimes they can be rough and jaggedy. You learn so much when you are around someone. Like if you've never been around wargaming before, like I was a total, knew nothing about it. All the stuff like counting or cutting a counter, it's like, what are you talking about? Why would you cut a counter that's already cut? But they can be jaggedy and rough and can wear on them over time and it can damage things. So, I get it. So I'm gonna pop out everything back in here and I'm gonna put this is the corrections and the map correction stickers on the very top so he sees those when he opens the box. But that is NATO, the Cold War Goes Hot. Now I know it happens in the 80s because it's said as much in the game. And I'm gonna look at the back cheat to give me like the when and the where. So the return of a true wargaming classic by Bruce Maxwell. First published in 1983, this game was Victory Games' best-selling title, purchased by over 75,000 gamers worldwide. That's pretty impressive. This new edition is based on an exhaustive 2-year study by the designer of the records that have come to light since the fall of the Berlin Wall, including now declassified reports from the CIA and the Defense Intelligence Agency regarding what satellite surveillance and HUMINT revealed about the Warsaw Pact's actual plans and capabilities. So Germany, I saw Germany on there. Yeah, so that's where it takes place. And then NATO and Warsaw, I think those are the sides. I hate when I don't know for sure. Like I hate when it doesn't just flat out list the countries' names out because then I have to either guess based off of a location or off of like a map, and I am horrible with geography. I should just call my 7-year-old down here because he knows like flags like nobody. He can name literally, I'm not kidding you. You guys are gonna think I'm blowing smoke or that I'm just being that mom. I'm not kidding. You can ask Gimpy, our 7-year-old, and this has been for over a year. He can name every country's flag. Like he can look at a flag and know what country it's from. So I should just start having him give me the cheat sheets on which flags are which countries and help me figure out the who of all these games. But anyways, that's gonna do it for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed my unboxing / guesses of NATO. The Cold War Goes Hot by Compass Games, a Bruce Maxwell design. There'll be another game, I think, that he wants me to do that's sitting on the table that I'll have to get to another time because I hear my kids screaming. I gotta get them to bed. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, don't forget, give this a big thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't and leave a comment, and we will see you guys in the next one. Bye. Well, there's your blooper. That wasn't intended, but Good thing I'm done filming when I did that. Yay.